boys and girls. I'm excited to share some things with you today that go along with our Where the Red Fern Grows book. The first thing that I want to share with you is a little bit of information about the author himself. Do you remember who the author is? Wilson Rawls. So, I found a little information about Wilson Rawls that I want to share with you. This will help us to understand his style of writing, why he wrote this book. So, when Wilson Rawls was a child, his mother ordered books through the mail, read them to Rawls and his siblings, and then let them take turns reading the books on their own. One of those books was The Call of the Wild by Jack London. When Rawls' mother gave him that book, it became the first book he owned, and he cherished it. It also gave him the idea that he would become a writer like Jack London someday. As a young adult, Rawls traveled all over the country, taking a variety of jobs. Along the way, he wrote as often as he could, and he completed 5 novels. He was ashamed of his spelling and punctuation, however, and didn't show the novels to anyone. In the late 1950s, just before he got married, Rawls decided he would give up the idea of writing and become a more serious person. He burned all of his manuscripts he had written. But Rawls' dream of being a writer would not die. He told his wife Sophie what he had done, and she encouraged him to rewrite one of the stories. The one he chose to rewrite was Where the Red Fern Grows, based on his childhood. It was published first as a 3-part serial in the Saturday Evening Post in 1961. That was a magazine. And then as a book later that year. In 1973, it was made into a movie. Wilson and Sophie Rawls were invited to the set. I stayed for 10 days and relived my youth. It was wonderful, Rawls said. His second famous book, Summer of the Monkeys, was also rewritten and made into a movie by Disney. He died in 1984. Today, a statue of Billy Coleman and his 2 dogs stands on the lawn of the Idaho Falls Public Library in Idaho Falls, Idaho. Rawls lived in the town for 17 years, and he rewrote Where the Red Fern Grows there. His birthplace of Scraper, Oklahoma, also honors him. So what kind of information did you gather from that will help you to understand the book a little bit better? I thought it was interesting that Where the Red Fern Grows is based on his childhood. So what are some things that we know about the author and why he wrote about Billy Coleman, the main character in the book, the way that he did? Another thing that I want to share with you is this. Do you remember in the first chapter of the book it talked about the KC baking powder can? This would be similar to the one that it talks about in the book. Do you remember what Billy did with this can? He saved his money in this can for the dogs that he was saving for, the red bone hound puppies. So he worked hard, picking blackberries and selling them, trapping, just anything that he could do, and he would save all of his money in this can until he had the money that he needed. He thought, I think $50, which was a lot of money in that time, for these 2 dogs. So, what do you think this can symbolizes throughout the book? We'll see.